Everybody has a copy of tonight's, everybody sit, please. Make yourself at home. They're all on the table to the left. We're running about 15 minutes late. In Europe, that has never happened. It's happened here tonight, so we're going to make a little bit of change in the agenda to accommodate our residents and what some people want to hear. On the agenda for tonight, before I go to the call for order, it talks about a resolution to enter into closed session, which is something we would do right this moment. I'm going to take a pass on that, so we address the issues, some of the presentations, and I'm going to ask this council if we can go into closed session after adjournment, because whatever we discuss, I don't believe any action is going to be taken. Is that okay with everybody in the council? Well, no, I hope it's not to 11, otherwise we'll address what's got to be addressed in a closed session than prior. Notice of this meeting in accordance with the Open Public Law 1975 C231 has been posted in 2 newspapers of record, and the Richmond News have been notified. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Donna Bailey.
Here.
Councilman Jeffrey Bader.
Here.
Councilwoman Jean Bay.
Here.
Councilman Eric Bloom.
Here.
Councilwoman Jacqueline Gadaletta.
Here.
And Council President Ronald Rosenblatt. Mayor Gomez.
Here. Mr. Treichler, you lead us in the pledge of allegiance. You can go first. It's yours to do. Go ahead. Okay, I'll let you go. You guys put it together. Ready? We'll help you. Stand up. Ready? All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll go into closed session at a later time. Today, I received an email, or all of us received an email from this mayor and council. And I'll read what I received. It says, Dr. Haas, recently retired member of our Board of Health, died Wednesday. His obituary was in the Sunday Record. There will be a celebration of his life on Saturday, May 11th at the Wycliffe Lake Hilton. And there's a phone number, 201-529-1599 if you wish to attend. Dr. Haas lived on Arcadia. He served on our Board of Health for too many years to count. And it's dedicated residents like Dr. Haas that make this town go. So if we can get a moment of silence with Dr. Haas, I appreciate it. Thank you. Approval of minutes. Everybody saw the revised copy? The April 16th minutes? Any changes, any comments? Anybody want to read the resolution?
Mayor, the only amendment to the minutes are that we laid in the actual bond ordinance as required. Scatoletta?
Aye.
No.
Mr. Bloom? And Mrs. Devine?
Yes.
We have 3 presentations tonight, although I'm only seeing, I'm not seeing the Junior Girl Scouts.
Not here.
So I'm going to make a presentation to Christian Treitler. I got to know Christian while running in his dust and practicing with him and realized that there's no way I could ever do what he's done. And Christian has run 7 Boston marathons. And fortunately, he's a fast runner. And I don't say that lightly. At our last prior meeting, we had a moment of silence, which is happening, I said too often. We did it for the 26 that were tragically killed at Sandy Hook, and now we did the same thing for the 3 that were killed in Boston. And Christian fortunately ran 3:11. If anybody knows, that's fast. And for a guy his age, that's like subsonic speed. So when I saw, you take a look at who runs in the race, and I knew my friend, I saw his name, I said, let's bring him here tonight. And I wanted to say a few words of what happened. But because he finished at 3:11 versus at about 4:05, he would run a 4:05, he would have been in the midst of it. So I went to stand up, and I asked him, I said, you're going to run next year. What was your response?
Yes, of course.
So,
Qualified again, so.
so I think the beauty of all this is that Boston's strong, and we're here to give a certificate of commendation to present it to Christian Treitler in recognition of your significant accomplishment in the 2013 Boston Marathon, representing your hometown of the borough of Cliff Lake. It's appropriate we give it to him tonight because he's leaving for 7 months to go overseas with his family. So it's signed by myself. It's acknowledged as Council President Robert Rosenblatt, Councilman Jeffrey Bader, Councilwoman Donna Beatty, Councilwoman Jean Bate, Councilman Eric Bloom, and Councilwoman Jackie Galiletta. So thank God we ran 3 hours and 11 minutes. And thank God I wasn't running because, well, I would have been so far behind with the next running. Not to make light of it, but gotta get your brother with you, Dan. Come on, let's go.
Very nice.
Since the Girl Scouts are not here, we're going to move on to a presentation by Vito Gagliardi. Pascack Valley Regional High School funding, district funding formula. This is really just to give an update. Anybody has questions, please feel free to ask those questions. Certain questions that that Vito might deem as essential to what our strategy is, obviously will not be answered. So if our good friends are here, we invited our friends from Montvale. I reached out to Rivervale, and I did reach out to Hillsdale. I know somebody's here from Hillsdale. I don't see anybody from Rivervale, but I stand to be corrected, and I'm not sure anybody's here from Montvale. I don't think I see anybody from Montvale. Correct me if I'm wrong. So this is really meant to be informative, so everybody knows where we're at this point. There's been articles in the newspaper that need to be a little corrected. We presented a feasibility study on March 1st then acting superintendent Robert Gilmartin told us we were supposed to have ours in by 12/31/2012, and there was an objection from our neighbors in Hillsdale and Riverdale, because they felt that they would only get an official notice sometime around the 10th or 11th of December. And since they only felt that they got the official notice at that time, the commissioner granted a 60-day extension, which put us to March 1st. As of March 1st, we were supposed to have gotten from the new acting superintendent of schools their comment on the feasibility, which did not occur as of yet. Not that we expected to get it within 60 days from the state, but obviously it's something that we were hoping. I see the girls are here. We might make a change and have the girls get presented before we go, so we can at least take care of
4 more are in room.
All right, so let's start with Vito, and
Girl Scouts and just end it.
we'll take a little break in between that. Vito, why don't we get started and share with everybody where we're at. Vito Gagliardi, we've worked with this municipality for a couple of years now. And
All right, so feel free to give me the hook whenever that time comes, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. As the Mayor mentioned, my name is Vito Gagliardi. We were retained about 5 years ago to address the disproportionate nature of your tax levy in support of the regional school district. As you know, you're one of 4 communities that supports the regional school district. But based upon the way the state's funding formula works, most regional school districts in the state were set up on a per pupil basis. And because of the way the funding formula works, when the state forced all regional districts into an equalized property value formulation, the one you have today, generally school districts in a regional setting, you have a community with relatively fewer students and relatively greater property wealth, relative only to your neighbors, and you wind up in a situation where you pay a subsidy to help educate the children from the other communities. In the case of Woodcliff Lake, one of the most extreme examples in the state, this community is paying about $3.5 million more every year than it would if you were paying on a per pupil basis. So the question put to us is what, if anything, can be done? Well, state statute offers you 2 vehicles to address that. You can either withdraw from the regional school district or seek to have the funding formula changed. And there may be court options, but you have to exhaust your administrative remedies, go through those processes before you can seek others. Now, God forbid I should stand here and speak this evening about exhausting administrative remedies, but essentially, that's really what we're talking about. So, you have tried to have the funding formula changed, but you were unsuccessful in doing that. As you might expect, since in order to change the funding formula, you have to have a referendum that passes in every one of the 4 towns. The second vehicle to withdraw from or dissolve the regional district is what we're here to talk about this evening, because that process begins with the feasibility study, and the experts who prepared the study are here with us this evening. Even if you were to analyze, okay, what are the chances that if the state gives us permission to have such a referendum, that it might actually pass? And my answer, I say respectfully, is it doesn't really matter given the journey in which we find ourselves. If you are allowed to withdraw from the district and solve that problem, and you can simply send your children back there on a sending receiving basis, but you'd only be paying per pupil, that would solve the problem. But if you were to have a referendum and it were not to pass, then you will have exhausted your administrative remedies and be free to pursue a court action like you may have read about with North Haledon and far more recently Oradell. But for those of you who might say, well, if we think that's where we're going anyway, why can't we just file some sort of lawsuit? And the answer is because you must exhaust these steps first. So if you're successful, your problem is solved, and if you're not successful, you have an opportunity to pursue court review down the line after that. So what we're going to do here this evening, probably subject to a little bit of a hiatus when all the Girl Scouts are here, is have the demographics, educational, and financial expert present to you their analysis and their report. One thing I want to say by way of caution before we get to that part. For whatever reason, I understand from the mayor, members of the council, that the report submitted by Hillsdale and Rivervale got a lot of ink in the local press and raised questions about the $3.5 million savings that I mentioned earlier. It's very easy for me to explain that discrepancy. These gentlemen get into it in greater detail in a moment, but the summary is this. When we go through the report, you'll see that we studied 6 different options for resolving this problem in terms of reconfiguring the districts, whether Woodcliff Lake would leave, whether Woodcliff Lake and Montville would leave, whether the district would be dissolved, whether you would send your children back to the regional SNE receiving basis, if Montville left and ran their own high school, whether you would send them there on a SNE receiving basis. We looked at all these options. 6 different options. The expert report prepared on behalf of Hillsdale and Rivervale looked at a 7th option that is not part of our report and that no one at all is considering, which would be Montvale and Woodcliff Lake both leaving the regional district and setting up yet another school district just to run a high school. So naturally they said there wouldn't be a lot of savings because you'd be setting up an entirely new school district. No one's looking at that, except those experts. Why there's a paid to look at something no one is looking at, I can't tell you. But that's what explains in a nutshell the discrepancy between those findings and the findings you're going to hear about this evening. So what we'll do, to the extent it means to the pleasure of the mayor and council, is...
We have all the Girl Scouts here, Vito.
Yes,
If you don't mind, we'll take a break.
I don't mind. And the audience is quite relieved.
Because they have testing tomorrow.
Okay, so we'll do that, and then we'll go through our report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Supposed to be a little bit better because I think it'll even help get better audio. We can move it up a little bit. What do you think? Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, scoot it up a little bit closer here. This is honestly the only thing that we want to get.
Right. So you can see this thing down here.
Yep.
See, it shows you
Yeah.
left, right, audio, and then center. You can see as the bones go in, you can see the audio and how much level is coming in. You can just mention whoever that guy is that was just speaking.
So I need to stick this card range on.
Which one of you wants to read what's
So I can do
All right. Isabella's going to read what everybody got. How's that? Fair enough? So who wants to read it? She put her hand up first. So why don't you read what everybody got? Does anybody want to tell us what the bronze award might you get? Come on. Maya? Hannah? Okay. Who wants to go first? And your name is? Okay. All right, Emily, tell us.
Well, we chose as a troupe to do a mother-daughter dance for Josephine, who died of a brain tumor. And then we made a garden in her hospital. She always wanted to see the money.
Everybody had fun? Everybody learned learn a lot from the experience? You do it again for somebody else? Or are you going to do a different project? Or are you going to wait for the group leaders to tell you what's going to be next?
They get to choose the next one. Yeah, they came up with ideas and they discussed which they felt was the most meaningful to them, and they chose what they were going to do. So they'll do the same for the next award.
A couple of them actually knew Josephine who passed away. They used to live in town, the family. It was Josephine Rispoli. And they used to live in Wycliffe Lake. They're actually members of the pool. And her mother designed a garden at Hackensack Hospital. And Josephine was a Girl Scout. I guess she passed away a year and a half ago. It'll be 2 years in October. And that's how they wanted to do something to remember her. And we took them, girls, where'd you go last week? They got to go to the garden.
One of the things that we've tried to do, and everybody's heard, is it's not only build community, it's realizing what makes a community. We've got, I don't know if the baseball guys left, they might have left. But we have softball here. You know, we have coaches, we have volunteers, and most important, we've got our kids. And that's what this whole town is all about. We all come out and help one another and do some great things. The subliminal message here is, look around you. One of you guys would like to sit on the council, be the youngest council person ever. I don't know if there's a state statute to the years, but everybody wanted to help and raise their hand, and that's exactly what we're all looking for. You guys got great moms, great leaders, great dads, great brothers, great sisters. Keep smiling. This is just a great group of smiling faces, and we're proud that you're all Wycliffe Lakers. Give them all a hand. We're going to just take a picture with everybody. Got enough pictures of everybody? Mom, Dad, kids.
So I think we'll just do like the opening bit.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Or shopping at the pledge or something like that. And then,
And then the Girl Scouts have one telling the story to get to typically all members should be, you know, because I work, like, who does the whole business on that? It's only if they're making some big decisions.
So we can all get started. And, you know,
Thank you. Well, you don't want to follow real fast. Even the guy who went through Boston Marathon said, I can't get through this, and he left. All right, so let me just identify for you the six configurations that we studied. Well, one thing, actually the two things, right? Each configuration has two things in common. The first is it has your children educated in the same buildings, with the same students, the same teachers as they are now. So despite the fact that we talk about drawing from the district and dissolving the district, these are legal terms, but the essence of our reality is to try to find a way, not to disrupt the educational program, but to have you pay far less than you're paying, because there's no basis for you to be subsidizing the education of the high school children in your 3 neighborhood communities. So the first of the two options is that you withdraw from the district and enter into a sending receiving agreement, sending your children back there where they are now, but only on a per pupil basis. The second, depending on what Montvale wants to do, of course, is that both communities withdraw. And then Montvale, as a matter of law, because of where the building is located, becomes a K-12 district, and rather than you pay per pupil to the regional district, you pay per pupil to Montvale. Again, the children going to the same place they're going now. The third option is that both Montvale and Woodcliff Lake withdraw and form their own K-12 regional district. That is to say, one school district for both Montvale and Woodcliff Lake. The fourth is that the regional district be dissolved. It is the majority of the towns leave, which result in its dissolution. And then there be two separate K-12 districts, one for Montvale and Woodcliff Lake, one for Riverdale and Hillsdale. The fifth option is that the regional district is dissolved, and we take a look again. We're forming a K-12 regional with Montvale and Hillsdale and Riverdale might not be the same. And the last is you dissolve the regional district and you create one K-12 region to serve the community, more communities with one education program. Let me just mention this last one for a second, because it is remarkably counterintuitive. The idea here, of course, is to provide funding for the education in these communities. But one would think that if you replace the 5 school districts serving 4 towns with one school district, the sixth option, you went from 5 school districts to 1, that everyone could save money and that would be a particularly attractive option. The regional school funding formula in the state of New Jersey is such a train wreck that there is no way under the existing formula to create a regional school district for these 4 towns where each one of the 4 towns save money. So there could be global savings, but there's always a loser. One town that you're saying, hey, I've got a deal for you, surrender your autonomy and pay more. It doesn't make any sense, but that's the structure under which you're dealing right now. So we looked at it because it's a viable option. We understand why it's not an attractive option, but that option, which to politicians in Trenton would say, well, that makes a lot of sense, that's what we want to see more of. Except you're not going to convince people to enter into a district like that if it costs them more money. You probably can't convince people to do it under many circumstances, even if they save money. But it is unworkable here, which shows you how messed up the formula is. In any event, we will begin with Dr. Richard Grip. He is a demographer. What we're looking at, of course, is not simply a snapshot. We're trying to project forward. If you're considering any of these options, you want to know what's the long-term impact. So that's why you do these projections. We will then hear from Virgil Johnson, who is an educator, to take a look at the educational structure here, which again is remaining unchanged, but of course you want to make sure that you're not doing anything